This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
I'd like to call the August 8th, 2024 regular meeting of the North Haven Board of Education to order at 6 p.m. First comment I'd like to make is I'd like to welcome everybody to the 24-25 school year. For those of you who have been here in the past, you already know that we meet on the second Thursday of every month except July. The meetings are normally held at 6:30. They're all open to the public, and agenda and non-agenda issues can be discussed. So if you are new to the system, you're welcome to come to any and all of the meetings, and you're welcome to speak your mind. If you're a friend of the system who's been around for a while, then you already know. So make sure you take advantage of that. In the last month or so, we were able to get a new board member. That would be Genevieve Cabrera. Genevieve, thank you for taking the responsibility to come out. It's not a light duty. It's always a ton involved. So for those of us who don't know you, if you just tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Genevieve Cabrera. I've lived in this town my whole life, went through the school system myself. I have 2 children in the school system right now, in the middle school and at the high school. I work at Yale, I work in like a college of education, and I'm really happy to be here.
Well, we are happy to have you, so we appreciate that. Because we have only 5 here to make the quorum, and we have 1 new member who cannot vote on past minutes, I'm gonna have to leave the vote to approve minutes until next month. Student representative reports, okay. Obviously, as the year passed, we lost our senior student rep, so a new one will be chosen in the coming month. I think that Joe Salamini Jr. Will return, and he'll be the senior class rep this year. So with any luck, we can get that done in short order and start having student reports as soon as October. Kids will be in the end of August, probably won't happen until middle of September-ish, so we'll get them ready for October. At this point, I'd like to go over any non-agenda public comment. Does anybody, either one of you guys, yeah, go. If you would just state your name and your address, that'd be great.
Write it down as well. My name is Kieran Ahern at 23 George Street. I know after the first public referendum, the budget failed. We were forced to cut $950,000 from the upcoming budget. And I'm just wondering, has there been any discussion for where that money's going to come from? Will we get to see you discuss it on the Board of Ed? And will there be a vote in the future?
That discussion was already held at the Board of Finance.
So does the Board of Finance going to do that? Sorry, I didn't mean to go.
The meeting at the Board of Finance was decided that the Board of Education would have a $950,000 deduction from its budget. We met and decided it would come out of the insurance reserve. That still left us at middle below, little above where our insurance would like us to be. So we were well suited to be able to do that and continue without any real issue.
And could you specify who "we" was in that sentence?
That would be the Board of Education.
Board of Ed met about that? Actually, I can see that in the public record.
Yeah. Did we not?
I don't think we did.
Well, when did we do that? We sat down, we all talked about it. Oh, that was in special. We did a special meeting. So that is not, was not available to the public,
Okay,
but it was done.
all right.
Yeah.
I think the minutes for that are online.
Yeah, and it was pretty apparent at the time of the meeting, although it wasn't final there. It's pretty apparent where that money was gonna come from.
Board of Finance.
Yeah.
Can I ask a clarifying question about that?
Sure.
The reserve, the insurance reserve account, is that controlled by the Board of Finance or controlled by the Board of Education? Like which
always-
side of the ledger does that sit on?
That's ours.
Okay.
That's ours.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything?
Sure. No, if you're asking, Tim Gabriel,
Oh, okay.
Gabriel Lane.
I'm always asking.
Just since that meeting was held at a special meeting, and I don't remember it either. Do you think, Christian, that maybe you could just kind of, when you do your finance report, you could go over just some of the things that were discussed at that meeting, and in terms of, it seems like it's pretty straightforward, but just so we have.
It was straightforward. There wasn't much conversation about where else that money was coming from. We wanted to make sure that there was no effect to any student programming or any student opportunity. So that's where that money was most easily taken from without having any real effect on operational aspect for the kids.
And I definitely do appreciate that we were able to do that, and we were able to save the taxpayers a little
And
bit.
believe me, it wasn't just me. Every member here always has the student first, and we always try to make sure that the students get what we need, and if we need to lag somewhere else, we try to make sure that it never sees the light of day by the student.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. On to the consent agenda. The resignation of Caitlin Lenti, art teacher at Clintonville School. The resignation of Jennifer Zenegren, English teacher at North Haven High School. The resignation of Carly Keith, science teacher at North Haven Middle School. The resignation of Julie Luff, science teacher at North Haven Middle School. And the resignation of Elizabeth Villano, executive secretary, student services. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? So moved.
Hey, Ron,
Yes?
can we just say a real quick thank you to everybody who worked in the district? And we will miss them, for sure.
There is no question that each and every one of these individuals should be applauded for what they've done in the course of time here in North Haven.
Thanks.
Beginning next month, the board will begin holding finance committee meetings prior to the regular meetings of the Board of Education. So that would be the second Thursday of every month, an hour before, right? Starting at 5:30. These meetings will be posted and open to the public. The members of the committee will be myself, Randy Peterson, Amanda. Christian will assist in developing the agenda and discussion topics for each meeting. Report from the standing committees. Marty, you have anything for ACES?
We had a special meeting concerning an issue with a member of the community. It was a private session.
Okay. Curriculum instruction and planning. With the departure of Marie Devlin, a new member was needed to replace her. I spoke with Genevieve, and she is willing to join Joe and Eleni on the curriculum instruction and planning committee, so I thank you on that. So you ready to report? No? No, all set?
Nothing to
All
report.
right, okay. Yeah, you'll get right up to speed with them. There's always a lot going on, but you can lean on either one of those, and you'll be caught up in no time. North Haven Education Foundation?
They'll be meeting September 11th, and I will provide an update at September's meeting.
Policy?
So there's second read for the bylaws this month. So next in September, there'll be an approval. If there's any questions.
So I'm gonna go through the, just a list of what needs to be gone through a second read. So, Tim, you have enough material, you have the materials to go through this. So, if you're comfortable, and you'll know after, before next month's meeting, you can vote on it even though you haven't had the first read, as long as you're comfortable with the content. And at the time, we'll have discussion if there's any questions, you can bring it up at that time.
Okay.
Okay? So the bylaws will be policy 9323, construction and posting of agenda, 9326, minutes, 9325.1, quorum and voting procedures, combining existing policies 9325.1 and 9325.4, policy 9222, the removal of board officers, policy 9325, meeting conduct, policy 9321, time, place, and notice of meetings, policy 5111.2, admission to the public schools at or before age 5.
on
Yes.
that, that's okay. For 9325, the meeting conduct one, I had
Yes.
thoughts on that previously, just because it doesn't explicitly say in there, that public comment can't include disparaging remarks against, employees and against
Students, right?
Would, and this is sort of a technical question, so would I make a motion to amend the policy at the next meeting, or like how would I recommend that?
During discussion, yeah, during discussion, she can ask for me to make a motion, because you have an issue with the content of that. We can make a motion, have discussion on it, no?
Can't,
We
we
can
can
just
go
have
for
it in there if the
discussion and
board
we
is
can just
okay
change
with
it before the
because it's not
vote.
an approved
The reason
process.
I'm waiting, and I'm sure it's gonna fly through, is we only have forgive me, we only have 4 members that have experience in this reading and had an opportunity to be involved with it yet. And I would rather wait until we had Joe, Aleni, and Goldie
Oh, for
here.
sure.
And I know they'll be here next month, so we can add it, talk about it and add it next month and pass it next month for immediate addition into the policy.
And this is more just like a logistics question, because I think when we did the martial arts one, I accidentally delayed us by a month, my bad, because I didn't know. But in this case, I wanna just make sure that, all of them look good, these are like little nitpicks, but I wanna just know when I have to.
That's more than a little nitpick. You do next month?
Yeah,
I would say do it now, but really, I'd like to have more, I would like to have, to show that there's solidarity within
Yeah,
the
yeah.
entire committee here. So if we can do that next month, that'd be great.
And Ron, it's okay, I could draft a separate policy
Yeah,
that reflects.
That adds that.
That adds that,
Yeah.
in addition to what the board already has.
Yeah.
So it's not something to.
right, and that won't stop any conversation about it, so if we still wanna make changes, we can. Ad hoc athletic committees?
We have not met, but we're gonna start back up once everybody's back to school, right? We'll maybe come up with a September date?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, superintendent's report?
Thank you. So with Thais' departure, she provided the DEI report for the district. So just give a little update where we are around there. At the end of last year, the High School Diversity Club was working on a district-wide belonging video, which we're very excited to see. I think it'd be a nice way to open up the school year with. So once Patrick returns, Melinda, Anthony, and I will continue to meet with him, get that up and moving, and continue to plan and move forward with our DEIB initiatives. I want to make a quick comment around residency or proof of residency. I think as everyone knows, the district is conducting a check and a proof of residency for all our registered students in district. Just to let everyone know, this check will be done annually moving forward. And the purpose of it is just to make certain that all our families are currently residents of North Haven. And I know there was a little confusion about what was being requested, just based on how the form was set up. Jen Kay, our IT director, popped back into the form and rearranged it, and hopefully cleared up any confusion, because we do not need a proof of birth for any students who are currently registered. It's just for those like entering kindergarten or coming into our district. Any questions around that? Okay, great, thank you. Back to Jen Kay again. Her IT team created a new student absent form, and I can actually pull it up here really quick for everyone to see. Actually put it on a loop. So it's like 15 seconds, it runs through the PowerSchool, but the form is on PowerSchool, and the purpose of the form is for a couple reasons. It's to help expedite families reporting an absence. It is also helpful on our end, for our accounting purposes and our coding, to make sure that our absences are coded correctly. So parents and families do not need to call and put the form in, they can pick one or the other. The form is very simple. I was able to figure it out in the first try, that's how I can say that. And the reason we wanted to do this as well is because with the recent addition of this 2 mental health days for students, we didn't want those to get combined with the excused absences. We wanted to be able to tease those out for students and families, because parents are allowed to excuse 9 absences for their students, in addition to 2 mental health days. So it's not 9 including, it's really 11 days. So for our coding purposes and the way we report back to the state and for our own records, we want to make sure that we have all the correct absences teased out. So
Are we still calling those mental health days?
that's what that,
Is that how it is?
Yeah, that's how it is.
Okay.
I'd say wellness days too, but.
Okay.
So Melinda is not with us tonight. She asked that I provide a report on some of the summer programs. I actually have a few slides on that as well. Just pictures. So the high school credit recovery program ran from July 8th till July 25th. English sessions, math sessions, and various APEX learning courses were held. And a total of 28 students enrolled in credit recovery, and to date, 71% passed in recovered credit, and 25% are in progress, but are anticipated to finish in the next couple weeks, which are really great numbers. The district also ran intervention and enrichment in academic programs, including kindergarten readiness for our incoming kindergarten students, summer skills for students entering 1st through 8th grade, and enrichment for students in grades 1 through 12. In addition to each of the academic programs, we had the amazing opportunity to offer our elementary students time in the STEM lab with a STEM teacher, as well as PE with a PE teacher. And our programs were staffed with an SRO and a school nurse. Approximately 300 students attended these programs, and we can't thank our directors, Caitlin Ortiz, Michael Yates, and Nadia Gonzalez for their amazing planning and leadership. And we are so very grateful for the teachers and staff who went above and beyond to make this program a success. Just a little overview about each program. The Kindergarten Readiness Program helps students develop independence and familiarity with kindergarten school day. The Summer School Program reinforces skills taught during the past school year. And the Summer Enrichment Program for elementary students not only reinforces skills taught from the past, but allows them to build on those skills for the upcoming school year. The enrichment program at the secondary level is our STEM program, and the students in this program experience NASA's Mission to Mars Student Challenge. And this was inspired by the Perseverance rover that landed on Mars, and students learned about how to design, build, and land a Mars mission. So that was Melinda's update.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Operating Officer's report.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone again. Ms. Cabrera, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. My report this evening will start with just a review of where we are in closing out the 23-24 operating budget for the past fiscal year. In my reports, for the end of the 23-24 school year, our operating budget's total expenses and current encumbrances, and what that means is we are still paying the final batches of invoices for the past fiscal year, came to $61,327,324.45, ending us with a very small surplus of currently $316,629.21, or approximately 0.51% of our operating budget. But I would like to be clear that this was accomplished based upon us relieving the final encumbrance of the final medical and dental insurance payments due to the healthy status of our reserves in order to help address unanticipated costs to the district this year. I would like to present just for consideration that with the board's approval, it would be recommended that these surplus funds be deposited into Fund 373, which is our non-lapsing account. Section 7 of Public Act 2445 authorizes local boards of education to do this as long as the amount does not exceed 2% of the total appropriated budget for the prior fiscal year. What I would like to share is pretty much a summary of what we have been talking about are the big impacting factors that we saw throughout the year, and you saw through my reports throughout the years. As has been shared, professional services was a considerable impacting factor to our budget due to just unanticipated new special education enrollments, which is always a possibility that we may face after a budget is passed. As such, our professional and technical service account line was significantly impacted in order to provide legally mandated services for those students. Additionally, our overall legal fees were substantially higher than anticipated due to a number of unanticipated legal matters this year. In addition, and also encompassed within this, is really tuition and transportation. Overall, our tuition and transportation lines were over budget due to unanticipated special education enrollments. And these were the really bigger impacting factors as we rolled those pieces out. One of the ways that we are, and we've seen in the first time in my report this year, is we did look to take that Munis report that you've seen, and we're trying to make it more visually digestible to you, the board members, with headers. In addition, one of the pieces of feedback that we received last year is we are going to look to have a side column that will help us to project a little bit better as the year goes on, as we feel that would be more useful to you board members as well. So you will be seeing that. It does mirror the Munis report, but we just like to show that in a little bit more digestible form. In addition, I have, because as we know, this is the first meeting of the current fiscal year, the 24-25, I have also presented in there just 1 month of operating expenditures. We're off to a good start, which is great, just the first month. And of course, I've included both the budget transfer report for June, which is the operating budget the prior fiscal year, 23-24, as well as the budget transfer requests for July, which does sit in the new fiscal year. So with that, I'd like to pause and respond to any questions that the board members may have.
That's okay.
Sure.
So, thank you very much, Christian, for that report. And I want to just state that to come well under 1 percentage point of our total budget is miraculous. Like in the private sector, when that happens, it is like somebody will throw you a parade. Because that is some excellent navigating, that is some excellent projecting, and that is some excellent management. So I just want to say thank you very much for all your hard work and the team at central office and everybody's hard work to make this happen. I think it's really wonderful to see that we're very close to balance and we're close in a way that's to the good. So thank you for that. The roughly $300,000 that is unspent so far, understanding that absolutely I agree with you that with your recommendation that it should go to the non-lapsing fund, but I want to just check in first on some of the high priority capital projects that we have been talking about and keeping an eye on over the past several months. Because I think people hear about this money and they might not understand that there are things that do need to be fixed, and we are stewards of 6 buildings that have needs, some of which are very, very aging. So can you just help me understand, like, what of our high priority capital projects still need to be accomplished, and if there are any recommendations for what we might want to put these funds towards?
Certainly. So I think the best way to respond to your question based on how it's being asked might be to respond to projects that were identified in the non-lapsing fund from last year that were very clearly communicated, as well as some of the projects that we've already put in motion that are in the current operating budget that we actually accomplished getting a capital budget into the operating budget last year, which was a big step forward for us.
Yep.
So really in summary, with the non-lapsing, when I came into the position, we did move the budget right away to projects such as the smart TVs that were purchased, the desks that were required at the high school. We did do the additional pole repairs over at the adventure course at the high school. The new flooring over at the high school where they come in was accomplished. Ramp work at Montouise and Clintonville was also accomplished.
Those were
as well.
important, yeah.
Those were done as well. The one that we have not accomplished in terms of the non-lapsing fund at this current time is actually currently the sidewalk project on Montouise that we will be coming back to, because the money is still there, we just have not done that. We do have a quote for that project. I want to be transparent that at the time that happened, we were making some pretty crucial budget decisions to make sure we landed where we were, so I did put a pause on that just to make sure that we would land safely with the current operating budget. With the new operating budget, you'll all recall that we did identify 5 priority projects that are actually in that operating budget for the current fiscal year. The first is the chiller on top of the high school that is already installed, and we are waiting just for the final invoice, but that is within the budget that we identified there. Jen Kosnewski was right on getting her technology switches. Those have arrived and are going to be installed beginning on Monday at Green Acres. I'm still working with Mr. Diana on the Montouise door project as well as the brick veneer at the middle school. I also would like to speak just briefly to the tennis courts, and there is a reason we have not started that yet. We did receive word from Lynn Sadowski that on the town side, they did receive funding from the urban grant, and so they had actually earmarked projects at our various athletic fields that we had kept on file with them. Lynn's been great to work with. At kind of the lower end of that particular project is in fact our tennis courts. And so I met with her earlier this week just to say, okay, talk to me a little bit more about what this looks like. And she did ask, can you just please hold right now, because as they go through that priority list, they may get to a point saying, we have X amount of dollars to do, support the tennis courts, can you dovetail that into what you've earmarked for the project? So I have at least not tabled that project, that's what that money is for, but just placed it on hold before hearing back from the town.
That's great. I mean, that's a great example of partnership between the town and the Board of Ed, and Lynn is a magician. She's awesome. That's great.
100% agree, she's
Yeah.
wonderful to work with.
Thank you.
Just next up, in terms of our reserve accounts, I have presented to you in our report where all of our reserves accounts stand at the end. So this is the marking point of June 30th. And next month's report, you'll start to see where July and August play out in those particular accounts. Our medical reserve accounts at the end of June 2024 are at the high end. And so what that does mean is you take the high end of what you could expect to be impacted by, as well as your incurred but not realized costs. Once you start getting to that part of your reserve, at that point, it's really not advised that you want to go much beyond that. So we were quite healthy, hence why we were able to make the decision we did in our current operating budget to hold on that payment right now. With that being said, I did ask Brown & Brown, as you see here, to recalculate the low, mid, and high as they are with our claims. As with anything with medical insurance, because we are self-insured, we are assuming a little bit of that risk, thus the reserve account. We are in a good position. As the year plays out, we will likely, as Chairman Bathrick stated, we will likely come down to that mid-level due to the cut that we had to make.
That's helpful because the cut is not reflected in the current reserve account because we haven't spent those funds yet. So the point is just we're gonna have less cushion than previous.
You are accurate.
Okay.
So the best way to look at that cut is when we put our medical insurance forward in the operating budget, there is a number that is provided to us by our actuary saying, based upon claims, this is how much it should cost you to operate your program. That's the employer costs, what we put in monthly. When we make a cut to the budget, we then make it on that line, but the reserve backs up that cut. So when we say we're making a cut to that reserve, we have that money sitting in the reserve. That is what covers the remainder.
But the actual cut comes in the health insurance line.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
that makes sense. Great.
And with the 315 potentially going into the non-lapsing fund, Christian and I would make the recommendation at this time to let that sit there based on the money we know that is coming out of the medical reserve. I mean, there may be emergencies that come up throughout the year, but as we did when we put money in that fund initially, we did have a plan for that, for those funds. I would say at this point that if the board chooses to move those funds into the non-lapsing fund, that they just sit for the time being in preparation for the 950 cut later on the med reserve.
That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
I may come back December and say something different when something happens at a building, but as we stand now.
Moving on to transportation. Attached to your memorandum and packet were both the June and July reports from Chief Operating Officer from M&J Transportation, Mr. John Hipsher. Over the course of the summer, we did have some hiccups. Once to get things off the ground with ESY Transportation, but once things were moving, a real credit to Lauren Venzio, Mr. Mastriano, and the whole team over there. ESY Transportation moved quite fluidly. We do think it was an improvement over the transportation services for that program from last summer. I would like to address to everyone, we at the same time were continuing to hold M&J kind of with us in close contact because, as you may recall, we did not receive bus routes until roughly a week before school opened last year, if not less than that. Contractually, they are supposed to have them to us by August 6th, and so we were really clear in maybe holding them accountable to that. As you saw, we received routes from them and posted them. We are getting consistent feedback. They will be finalized by August 21st. And so what we do hear the feedback. We are sharing that with M&J. I've already been in communication with Heather at least twice today as well. There will be an update to those lists on August 21st. As communicated to families, specialized transportation will be communicated directly to families by phone. This was a past practice from M&J that would help to really clarify and maintain that level of confidentiality with families. We communicated that to M&J because the person who held that position at the dispatch office, that was a past practice, and we said we'd like to see that resumed, and they agreed to do that. So we've been informed that next week, those families should be contacted directly by M&J for their pickup and drop-off times for specialized transportation.
So I have a couple questions about this. I don't know that I understand the difference between bus schedules being delivered on August 6th and then finalized by August 21st. That doesn't necessarily pass muster, and I appreciate all the work that our team has done to try to hold M&J accountable and make sure that people have what they need to plan their years. But the 21st is also like a week before school starts, and if people can't reliably look at these bus schedules, I would say that, in my view, M&J has not met what we have asked them to meet. This is not, I mean, I would have expected some minor tweaks are reasonable. But like to say, we're gonna continue to work on this and not finalize it until a week before school rings very familiar, and it seems a lot like last year. I understand that there are people here trying, and I appreciate that North Haven Public Schools has folks who are on the ball and trying to keep things moving. Thank you very much for that. But I can't say that I'm super happy that M&J is not going to finalize bus schedules until August 21st. And I'm gonna have to look at our contract language to see if the schedules were supposed to be finalized by August 6th or August 21st.
It's the 6th.
It's the 6th, yeah, it is, and it's surprising to me too, because with everything that went through last year with M&J, and the times we were here, and the things that we told them, and trying to get out, you think that they would have been eager to meet all the numbers that, and dates they're supposed to meet, and they were not close again.
Like I said, 1 or 2 tweaks is like totally fine and reasonable.
You're gonna get that, that's
We
it,
have like,
right.
all of Montauk is on like 2-hour bus rides right now. And I've heard from moms groups, parents groups today, people are very upset about
Yeah,
this,
that
rightfully
won't-
so, they want a plan.
That can't stand, that won't, just, no, that won't stand. But I agree 100%, this should have been on the ball, but, you know, can't get apple juice from an orange, so
I'm just
try
confused
to
why
figure it
they
out.
put, sorry, Ron, I'm just
Sorry.
confused why they would put out routes before they're, like, why send out a draft? I'm just not sure. I'm not
I would think they're
understanding.
trying to get by a technicality, that's what I would think. They put out a draft on August 6th,
Just to make
and they're gonna
it
say
like-
that their understanding is, well, August 6th is when we have to get the draft.
Maybe.
My particular understanding, by looking at it, that's all legalese on their side,
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Yeah.
I wonder if the bus drivers have had a chance to review the schedules before they go out, because it's no surprise, like I love our bus drivers, they do a fantastic job, and once they see the schedules, they can usually help to optimize them. So perhaps I might be so bold as to like ask us to recommend to M&J to let the drivers take a look before it comes to us.
They are next week.
Okay, cool.
One of the comments I did see on social media today was someone questioned why, and I know the answer, but if you could just share it to clarify for people that may be listening or wondering, why a bus would have to stop at, say, instead of on a corner, multiple houses on the same street. And I believe the answer is because if there's no sidewalk, kids have to be picked up at the end of their driveway. We cannot allow kids to walk on a street where there is no sidewalk so they can safely get to a corner pickup or drop-off spot. That's correct, right? Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, because I don't know the particular streets that were being mentioned on this one post that I saw, but just so people understand, that's why.
It's all safety measures.
Yeah.
Right, just keep them off the street.
Right.
Moving on to cafeteria and food services. Following a review of the cafeteria's profit and loss report for the month of June, food services showed a total profit overall for the entire year of $132,762 for the year. As of July 31st, 2024, this brings the total balance in that cafeteria account, which is, we are the stewards of that particular account, to $760,841.30. The USDA does require that we maintain, to the best of our ability, a balance that we hold 3 months of operating costs, and right now that is approximately $463,000 That covers all the things that we pay for them. Obviously, this is likely to change. We've seen, I don't anticipate seeing this level of profit in the coming years as we're starting to kind of shift away from the levels of reimbursement we have received from the state. Speaking of lunch prices, I want to be very clear that we are not going to be raising lunch prices next year. The reason we're able to accomplish this is we did apply for a waiver to not raise them. We have not raised them over the past couple of years. Because we do have the surplus in our account right now, we were able to apply for the waiver and hold our lunch prices where they are at right now. Just kind of in further discussions, this will be something that we will need to revisit for next school year, 2025-26. With that being said, we are in the process of developing a spend down plan for that extra amount. I do want to just clarify and share with the board, as you recall last year, I'd done some work in looking at what air conditioning would look like if we could provide that in our cafeterias and trying to utilize our excess cafeteria funds to accomplish that. As you recall, I did share that I had received initial approval to move forward with that project with these funds. Fortunately, that was then retracted from the state. I then took a second attempt working with the contractors to re-explain the scope of the sequence. Unfortunately, they once again denied that use of the cafeteria funds. As such, we are still looking and planning what our spend down plan will be. Some of the items that we are looking at right now are replacing the steamer wells in all 4 of the elementary cafeteria kitchens. We are looking at some additional reach-in freezers now over at Clintonville because the walk-in coolers are just about done being completed over there. So we do have some additional space in the Clintonville cafeteria. We're also trying to look ahead with recent legislation around organic waste in schools that produce a certain amount of organic waste by July 1st, 2026. We'll be required to separate that and currently shift that to a separate recycling facility. Cheshire Public Schools did a case study of this with one of their elementary schools, and roughly the size of Green Acres, Ridge Road, the middle school and high school, we're anticipating would fall into the tonnage that we would have to anticipate organic waste separation for. So we are going to start to look ahead a little bit with the funds we have to actually get sorting stations so that we're at least a little bit ahead of the game in regards to that. Those are preliminary plans. We've not submitted anything to the state in regards to that, but just wanted to share a little bit of what our thoughts are around that. If you're curious, that is related to Public Act 2445. Just want to pause there.
I do have a question on the air conditioning. Because, I mean, it's great that we still have items within the cafeteria that can be improved. And just so folks at home know, like, we have to spend these funds on very limited, it's a very narrow range of things we can spend them on. What department is denying us the air conditioning?
For the Connecticut State Department of Ed that handles
Connecticut State Department of Ed.
Food nutrition part. We're all assigned an individual that we work with. The original individual that I was working with had originally said, yeah, this seems certainly acceptable within the parameters of what you can spend those funds on, but there is a larger committee that said, that looks like a capital project that you are doing in the cafeteria. So for example, in a cafeteria, we could buy new chairs because that's part of the food service. We bought new tables for the middle school. They deemed and felt that the HVAC in its scope, and we explained to them that our 4 cafeterias, they're very different. If you've been to our 4 elementary schools, if you go to Montouise Elementary, for example, it's almost a greenhouse there. Green Acres is a little different. Surprisingly, Ridge Road was probably going to be the easiest of the 4 projects, the way it was designed, but each one, in order for us to do it right, you can't just put in a small unit like we did in the kitchens. Mm-hmm. We really needed larger units to do the project right. And so they felt it was too large in scope and was outside of the acceptable use of the funds.
So chairs, tables, coolers, stoves, like, we're gonna have really tricked out cafeterias that are just super sweaty.
And Christian, in our favor, our cafeterias are solely cafeterias. They're not cafegematoriums.
Correct.
So
Right.
that should have worked in our favor as well in that discussion, because they wouldn't be used as multi-purpose rooms.
It just seems silly to me. I mean, thank you for your work on it. Like, I appreciate you trying twice, but it seems a little silly to me.
Thanks, I was not a nice person to be around.
Were they, how were they on, asking for actual engineer drawings first?
They did not ask for any.
They did not ask for
They
it?
asked for a project description, which Schaefer Beacon, who was the contractor that we were working with, provided. They didn't feel that, they felt it was too large in scope.
I'm wondering if they ever decide that it's in scope, if they demand those drawings, that we may eat up 200,000 of that money before we ever get to the VAC. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's, you see what I mean?
I'm sorry.
So we have that 300,000 to put towards air conditioning. If we actually get approval, I'm wondering if that approval will be based on engineer drawings, which could cost,
2/3 of
yes,
Yeah.
2/3 of our money.
Then we don't have much left over.
Right, and then we'll have 100,000 to do nothing with,
Might as well upgrade
because it won't even,
Right.
yeah, they won't buy the ductwork, let alone the equipment.
Correct.
You could frame the
The
plan.
one silver lining was because we came into the year, we were allowed to do this, you have to develop a new plan, and we did get the waiver on not increasing food prices, because we did have some money still sitting there, but, so it's a silver lining a little bit. Granted, I'd still like to see, have the HVAC, but,
So right now, it's food prices and possibly steamers.
the steamer serving wells in each 4 of the elementary schools, we have some walk-in fridges at Clintonville that we're gonna put in because.
Those steamers, are they, I don't mean to interrupt you, those steamers, are they like, are they really needed, or?
Yeah, the system,
Okay.
the systems are.
I just want to make sure that, and I know you guys are more than focused on how to spend the money, that we're not just spending that money because it's got to go, and we're, well, steamers. You know, I want to make sure, and we all do, not just me, far from just me. We all want to make sure that that money is spent as wisely as possible. I know we know you feel the same way, just want to say it out loud.
No, it's a very frustrating thing to have that resource sitting there. And, well,
Yeah, and you kind of get roped into not using it the way you want to use it.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that's the state, it's a shocker.
And then just my last 2 pieces, I have included our grants reports. We continue to use grants to supplement and support our operating budget. And the final piece I'd like to present is just a request to approve a generous donation of $2,000 from the Banton Construction Company that we received on June 12th this summer to help support the North Haven Transition Program. Banton Construction is really one of our local businesses that has opened their doors and welcomed many of our students as part of our work experience program. Over the years, they're just really great supporters of what we're doing with those students. And if approved, the monies will be used to support that program under the direction of Mr. Anthony Mastriano and Mr. R.J. McDonald.
Yeah, this is not the first time either, right? This is several
It's ongoing,
times
yeah.
that they've,
Big support.
so I'd like to thank you, Banton Construction Company. May I have a motion to approve a donation of $2,000 from Banton Construction Company to support the North Haven Transition Program?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you to them.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So moved. All right, now you want to make a motion to approve the monthly financial report? Are you squared away? May I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report, including the recommended transfers?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Not really, we can do it next month.
Yeah. I think we hit it, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, the Director of Student Services report.
Great, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you again. Hope summer has brought time for relaxation and a little bit of time to recharge for the upcoming school year. Trying, I know.
Not nearly as much as I was hoping, okay.
Tonight, I'd like to highlight our extended school year program, so our ESY program that ran this summer, which was directed by Lauren Vivenzio, who is our coordinator of pupil personnel for grades 6-12 plus. She planfully designed and implemented a program with huge success. I could not be more thankful for her dedication, time, and support to our students, staff, and families. I would also like to highlight two other staff members, Katie Kiley, who's at the high school. She's one of our school psychologists, and also Lindsay Perriolot. She's one of our school social workers, for their excellent leadership skills and willingness to go above and beyond to support Lauren through the program as a whole. This summer, we had over 200 students accessing these supports from ages 3 to 22. Thank you to the 40 certified staff members and 45 para-educators who supported the program this summer. It was wonderful to see our own teachers, support staff, and para-educators work collaboratively to provide the highest quality of education for our students. Without this wraparound support, this program would not be possible and would not run with fidelity. Thank you for sharing part of your summer to be with our students. The decision to move all elementary students to the high school was a huge success with great positive feedback. Thank you to Phil, the grounds crew, the custodians at the middle and high schools for making this possible. ESY for the 4-week students ran from July 1st to July 25th, and then July 1st to August 8th for our 6-week students. Additionally, I'd like to thank the administration at the middle school and the high school for their support and dedication to our students' learning and allowing us to be part of the building during the summer. Lastly, thank you to the continued support of the Board of Ed, of course, to ensure we have fully staffed programs with all the appropriate support in place and resources needed to implement summer programs. So thank you for that. My last item tonight is to update the board with the progress of the transition of the RISE program, which is very exciting, from Ridge Road to Clintonville. At this time, the program is fully staffed with 3 special education teachers, 15 para-educators, and a full team of Apex, which is our contractor, our company we contract with, that provides BCBAs and also RBTs to help support our students and help them be as prepared and able to access the curriculum as possible. Thank you to Mrs. D'Angelo, building principal, Mrs. Scanlon, our coordinator of special education, and Miss Margaret Johnson, who's one of our fantastic teachers, for their time, energy, and support they put in this summer. They really put in a lot of energy and extra time, and I'm very thankful, and I know we all are as well. Their leadership team is outstanding, and I know without them, this project and transition from Ridge Road to Clintonville wouldn't be possible. Lastly, Mr. Stirk and I, along with Mrs. D'Angelo, met with Mr. Diana to obtain an update on the progress being made on the building of Clintonville itself, the construction of the sensory room, sensory path, and other building updates that were needed to support student needs are well moving. They made a lot of progress today by installing a lot of the paneling and also the rock wall within the sensory room. So it's really coming along very nicely. Very excited for that.
Everything will be situated for
Yes,
start?
everything will be
Okay,
situated
so
for
no
the start of
anticipated
school.
delays?
No anticipated delays as of
That's all I can
today.
ask for.
I know, so hopefully we'll continue, everything will arrive on time, and we won't have any concerns. Thank you to the North Haven Education Foundation for the generous grant that they approved and executed, and was executed by Margaret Johnson for this sensory room project. So we are very appreciative for that extra funding. The impact of the sensory room items and supports granted will help to support our students' sensory needs and allow another additional space for students to unwind, have some time, and hopefully then be able to re-engage more quickly within their learning. We're so excited for the program and this positive change, and looking forward to the new year. And that's all I have. I hope everyone enjoys their little bit of summer that's left, and thank you for your time.
Do we have any questions for Anthony?
No, especially our summer school teachers, they finished today then.
Today was a
Right,
last
so
day.
now their
Yes.
summer begins.
Now begins.
Summer begins.
For a hot 2 weeks, I would
For
say.
2 weeks.
They were told to unplug and recharge
I hope they do.
as much as they can.
I hope they do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Okay, we're gonna go for public comment. If there was any public comment that someone would like to make about the agenda today? Agenda items only? No? Okay. Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn the August 8, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Education?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thanks, everybody, for showing up.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.